I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. Welcome, Colin Whitby and Saleena Songbird. It's such a pleasure having you with, Saleena. I just met you. I have spoken with you for 2 minutes, and now we are just going with the flow, the divine flow, and we decided that the intention about activation, because you have worked with activation vibrational keys for decades.
Yes.
And I have also, but we have done it in different ways. So maybe you can start to say something about the way you help people to activate them.
Oh my. Okay. Well, my life mission seems to be a bridge, and my bridge involves connecting people to their higher potentials, their higher self, their higher truth. Waking up and freeing themselves from any kind of entanglement or anything that suppresses and holds them away from the truth of who they really are.
Yeah.
And that's the bridge, that's the weavings that we do. And the weavings that I do involve personal sessions. They involve art, especially the Vibrakeys. This is one called the Golden Pyramid, and it's the front and the back of a double design, and they're called Vibrakeys. And these Vibrakeys began in 1997, after I was doing this amazing, living in the wilderness in Sedona, Arizona, and doing a beautiful series of art called The Art of Juicy Living. And all of a sudden, a vision came in and showed me these so multidimensional that I thought I was going to begin creating a light and sound boost, because there was light and sound and smells and lines coming in from where I couldn't see, and there was colors that I had never seen before, and the energies were just so amazing.
I feel it right now, so I love you talking about it, because it's like when you talk about it, I just feel the activation from it.
Right. And when I finally, began to, it was like, okay, this is a new kind of art coming in. And I just said, well, how do I start this? Because I've always been very connected to the other dimensions. I've always, I have spent periods of my life where I disconnected to try to be a normal human. And, that didn't work for very long. And so, I was really waking up, living, disconnecting from everything and living in the vortexes of Sedona, and, just extraordinarily finding myself and falling in love with myself. And then they come in and I said, well, how do we start? And they said, well, 2 things. Go to this crop circle meeting and don't worry about what he says. Just look at the pictures, and then go to the Star Knowledge Conference. And that was the first time I was very shamanic and studying with the Native Americans. And, I'd come through a Christian religion in the earlier part of my life, and was very connected to the Christ energy and spirit. And they said, go there. And basically it cracked me open to extraterrestrial contact. And I remember walking home one night and saying, why don't I ever see UFOs and meet ETs, and I just heard this laugh. And they said, you have no idea who you are. And so that's when they began. And I said, how do I start? And they said, just get a piece of paper, get a pen, put your pen to the paper and let go. And the designs just started drawing themselves. And I said, how do we bring them in? They said, make requests. And so I would ask people and they would request something and then a design would come through and they were all black and white to start with. That's a short history. They have come in over the years. And one of the things you asked me was, how do they affect people? How do these Vibrakeys affect people? I remember one really amazing story because they cover a range of topics from activating food and charging energy to working with different aspects of yourself, your psyche, your soul, your body, your environment. They're very, very eclectic and they're very all encompassing, and they come from a multitude of hosts, which is very unique. It's not like, I channel Arcturian art, but these come from probably 100 different hosts, extraterrestrial or, higher dimensional beings. And I also ask, how do I know that they're not hurting us and they're helping us? How do I know they're coming from the right source? And I made a very strong contract with the group that links me up to the hosts who are ready to share a gift. And they're called the Starband Outreach Council. And I said, how do I know that we're not being used or mined or, something terrible happening through these, because they're so dimensional and they connect us to so many beings in so many places. And I said, okay, what my contract with you is, they all have to come through the heart. And if they're not, I will feel it and they won't activate. And you talked about activation. It's the connection to a heart oriented intention to free us and awaken us.
Yeah.
And bring us out of the slavery and the being used by extraterrestrials for their own purposes and stalling our evolution. And so these Vibrakeys are a sea of gifts, amazing gifts that disconnect us from the old, bring us connection to the new, and they also evolve with us. And that's one of the things I said, well, how, these have been here for 30 years. Are these first ones still, are they still vital? Are they still current? Are they still useful now? And they said Vibrakeys are set up as a holistic system. So every Vibrakey is connected to all the others in a very omnidimensional way, in a sacred geometric way, and somehow. Yeah. And they said Vibrakeys have levels, and you can only access the level your consciousness is ready to receive. And so if you evolve, you'll be attracted to any particular one. When you look at the gallery or you look at them, you'll feel yourself attracted to one, or you'll feel yourself repulsed by, like, oh, I don't like that one, or oh, I really like that one.
Yeah.
Well, both of those have something useful for you.
Yeah.
Excuse me just a minute. If you're attracted to them, there's something, a gift waiting right on the, right there for you. And you just view them, you dive into them. I have information on the back. I have guidance for them. Suggestions of how to use them. So they're actually tools. They're not just art, they're tools. And they as you evolve, you will begin to you'll learn, you'll get into deeper levels. That's all I can say is you can dive deeper into them. And one of the ways that Colin and I have, played with them over the years is we do these omnidimensional travel adventures. And we dive in, we get one out, put it on our screen or in front of us physically if you have one, and we dive into it. We explore it. We open. We just say, we're here, guide us, and we connect our hearts and then we dive in. And that's how you get the greatest gifts. And, there's information on the back that has suggestions for guided visual journeys or how to use them, or, you know, what what their purposes are, what the potential and possibilities are that they connect with.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I'm all over the place, but did that answer anything that you
Yeah,
said?
I love what you're saying because it's like and helping people. What you call your team, it is the same team I have, but I call it the grace field. It is a lot of light beings. So I think that a lot of light beings present themselves to us in the way that support our system, and the grace field is a lot of light, and it comes through your heart, as you say, because my path was to understand what happened every time I healed something, being a healer, because they was very sick and became healthy. It's like, how am I doing it? It wasn't me. I was a channel. So my path started with trying to understand how can I activate them? What am I doing? Because I wanted to use my tools. I had a lot of tools as a therapist, but something other took over and I activated them and they said, we just want your healing. Well, I want to use my tool. So that was my path into this kind of higher realm. And actually, I'm glad that you said this extraterrestrial, because when things started to open for me, I said, okay, give me everything, but not extraterrestrial. So I said no in the beginning. But now it's like, no. And after I opened to the extraterrestrial, wow, that's a really. And actually, even though I said no, it was extraterrestrial, but I didn't want to. Yeah, I think it was when I saw the complexity of it, I said, I cannot, it's too big for me. I felt that I couldn't embody it. I felt that I wasn't worthy, or I don't know what I felt, but it's big. It's big when you are shown to this new dimension of you, the bigness of us, and being a channel, and the Christ consciousness and the grace consciousness, the sun, the Ra, whatever we call it.
Well, Colin, you've been connecting with Colin quite a bit, and his favorite saying over the years, as we do these omnidimensional travel adventures. By the way, the reason I call them that is my partner and I used to do, well, we still do. We do personal sessions of healing. We're both intuitives and healers, and we have a plethora of skills, both earth and beyond. And we would do healing and, longing for the healing center and the healing. And one day we lived in Hawaii and I had just met Colin and we were doing these healing sessions, and lots of what I noticed is when you call yourself a healer, a lot of sick people show up. And I just told myself and my guides and everybody, my friends and family, I said, I'm really tired of being a healer and working with sick people. People who are very ill or very disturbed or whatever it is. And that's good. It's a good thing. And I said, what really just lights up my heart is exploring. And so let's call this omnidimensional because it's all dimensional, not just multi, not just one dimension. Let's call it omnidimensional travel adventures because that's what we do. We go in, we tune in, and then we're taken on journeys. And so Colin and I and my partner, Hugh, who we call Maramar, have done a number of these omnidimensional travel adventures, both, just showing up for an occasion, or taking a Vibrакey and saying, let's focus on this one and dive into the design and take the journey in and see what happens. Because we never really know what's going to happen, and we never really know who's going to show up. And it's always, quite a quite a surprise and amazing. And so these adventures have become, we still do sessions, but we call them omnidimensional travel adventures. And there's always healing. There's
Mm.
always awakening. There's always, even for us, Colin's been his favorite saying as we did these journeys, we would meet these amazing beings, the kind of beings you'd go, oh my gosh, who are these enlightened, amazing beings? And Colin would go, I think they're us. And at first I would say, yeah, right, Colin, that's right. Sure, sure. You always say that. But eventually I realized, oh, actually that's true. Time is a field. The true time is a field. Past, present, and future exist all at the same time. And we live in the linear time because we're in gravity. So, we just learned this from the book Koldas from, Elena Denon, which is amazing. That still is a big awakening for me,
You finally
and
read it. I was going, read it, read it. Oh, you've got to read it.
right, right. And so as I'm reading that, it's doing to me what Vibrakeys do to other people, who are on the. I've just been on this path for my whole life, and with the Vibrakeys for 30 years, or however that adds up from 1997, and so we're just beginning to understand the end is the beginning and the beginning is the end. And we all go back to source. We all go back to source creator. And we are source creator, and maybe even something beyond that, which Colin and I just discovered. And it's just amazing. It's fun. And that's the biggest thing that I'm finding is it has to be fun for me so that, it's powerful and it's life changing. And sometimes it's painful when the old stuff comes up, but we're learning how to let that go,
Yep.
not attach to it, not retell the old stories. Let it just move out of the way so we can get on with something really fun and amazing, which is happening now.
Yeah, I think the idea that we were talking about earlier on about activation is also an interesting angle because the other element to the conversations we've been having, particularly something that activated Ann-Peggy, was when I mentioned that I came in with some energy one day and zapped the pyramids. And he
Ah,
said, "Oh, why did you do that?" And I said, "Well, I do that. That's what, things
right,
apparently."
right.
And we talked about Thoth because that's come up with you and me, Saleena, many times. The energies when we've been looking at, pyramids and hieroglyphs and things like that. And I had this capacity for putting my hands over these codes and them streaming off and coming into me. As soon as I said that, and Peggy's going, whoa. And so I think our common thread here today is activation and pyramids, or, the energy of pyramid,
Yeah.
because you've got them behind you. You automatically thought pyramid even before we set this up.
That's
So
right.
I'm
I
wondering
did.
whether, and as we're talking it now, did the
Yep.
energy not just go up a notch?
Yeah,
It automatically, the field seems to inform us, so
Yep.
um, shall we just see what happens with the energy of that and see, like you say, with the Vibrakey. I'm thinking that activation, like you said, Saleena, activating the Vibраkeys as they are now are kind of just waiting for something. As was my, oh, I keep saying, as was my website. It was dormant. It was just waiting for what?
right,
This
right.
moment.
Yeah, and also my model, Divinity Reset Model 13, it is activation, but it has been shown me when I put out the English one, because I have the Norwegian and I will do the Swedish and the English, then it will be even stronger. So it is so all of us, we have this activation in some. And when you talk about omnidimensional, the word I use is divine. Divine is for me omnidimensional, but it's just semantic. It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Right.
divine brings in a something um and almost like it's almost suggesting holy, isn't it? You know, that there's something pristine, very, very what we are, what we are.
Yep.
Because having read the book, Saleena and I, this Coal Dust book, we're looking at ourselves as well and saying, "Gosh, we traveled like Eleanor and Thor Han. We've been traveling together for aeons." Well, it just turns out so have we and Peggy, because we did a thing with pyramids and pharaohs, and
Yep.
our heads went like this, and we're going, oh, we're pharaohs, and the connections are family. We are the alchemists, we are the architects, we are the family, and today we've chosen to come together and activate something.
And three of us, it's sacred geometry, so we are now sacred geometry, so that's an activation in itself.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the basis of the sacred geometry or Vibrakeys. And at one point they said, they started giving me sacred geometry, and I'm not an exact, I don't do the rulers and all of that. And I said, well, I'm not very good at this. I'm not skilled at getting it exact. And they said, no, you don't realize it. Sacred geometry is organic. It's organic and it's natural. And the way you do it is exactly the way we wanted it done. And this whole thing about the pyramids, I have past life or current life, whatever you want to say. I have a number of memories of moving through the Egyptian time zone. Even I was a Hathor and sitting between these big columns in a straight chair, looking out over the Nile Valley when it was lush and green. It wasn't sand. And, I was working, the Hathors were working with the Octurians. And then I remember coming in and being, I remember very specific scenes of a courtyard that was, you know, just had walls around it, and these cobras with rubies in their third eye that would beam a certain energy field that you would work with in this court, this little courtyard. I remember, a headdress with a moonstone that I used to wear, and I have lots of memories of that period. And I also was a scribe or thought, and that's one of the reasons I document everything. It's like
Yeah, you do, yeah.
I do when we do the omnidimensional travel adventures. If you see me looking down, it's because I have a piece of paper here and I'm drawing what I see, quick sketches, because when we go in these places, our mind works in a way that it's like it's like an elevator, and we have certain cubicles in our mind. And whatever dimension we're in, we can only retain the cubicles up to a certain level. And when we go past that level, if we don't document it in some way, when we come back, we forget.
Yeah.
And it's not that our brains don't work right, it's that the cubicles it doesn't fit in the dimensional or in the density that we're in.
Yep.
And so to remember it, that's why I do the sketches, that's why I take the notes, that's why we do the recordings, so that we remember, oh yeah, we did that. We are that. Oh, we found out that, and
Yeah.
eventually, as we move up in our own frequencies, we begin to remember more and more of what we experience. So anyway, that's
Yeah, I know, because it is very beneficial to record it and do something. One of the big I have had we have, all of us have had a lot of activation, but one of the activation I had in Peru, taking on meteorites, then I just went into becoming this with this long head, and because it was, this museum had some skeleton of it, and I said, I'm that. And then I took over from the guide and started when I was that, and I have no idea where it comes from, but I was suddenly what he said. How do you know? Because I have been. That's me. So this activation, but it started in this room with the meteorite, the masculine and feminine. So when we are activated, if we are not recording it, because I never recorded it, but it was kind of wow, this activation went deep, and it did something with my cellular level.
right. It does.
Yeah.
It seeps in. And it does change us.
Yeah. But I agree, we have to. So that's the to be quick, because I have been activated so many times and I haven't noticed, or I haven't written it or done something, but it still lives in me, but not kind of, you cannot put it exactly into form. So when I do ceremony, I record it now because I know what happens.
Right. Well, I put this, I guess I was inspired to like to put the golden pyramid up, and this is the top, and that's the point of the pyramid, as if you're looking down on it, and this is the generator that generates the energetic pyramid. This particular part of it is an actual Vibrakey called the energetic pyramid, and it's got two sacred heart gates in it. It also has something called the Unikey, which there's all kinds of technology in there that helps us get where we're going and see what we see. But it energizes it. It's a gateway. It's a portal. And so I thought maybe today, if we wanted to do the activation, we might dive in right there and see what happens, because it actually has a filter system that pulls away all the dross or the lower density things and makes it more easier to access the higher energies. And we haven't really explored this Vibrakey much at all. So as far as an activation goes, that might be a starting point for today.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Colin, do you want to lead us in?
Yeah, I could do. Yeah, yeah. I've got it on my a bigger screen over here. So if you see me look this way, it's because that's what's happening. Okay. So right. So I can feel us as a stream actually. Three energies, three energy streams. Wow, this is big. And we've just pinged the pyramid points. We've just pinged those. I don't know what that means. The flows of energy have just flown out through the parts that have just gone either side. Now I can't point to them on the screen there, so I can't show you. But with where the corners are, we've just flashed energy out to the corners, and those four at the corners have now just lit up. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Thinking
Wow.
backwards.
Yeah, and my helper here is pointing. Oh, this is fun. But that seems to have it's almost like it's thrumming. There's a like an engine. There's a vibrational something. It's almost like we switched stage one of whatever it is, and now it's just ready. It's waiting for our next. What do we want to do next?
Well, this particular Vibrakey is called the Golden Pyramid. It's VK27, just for identification. And it was created by more hosts, co-creation, than I've ever seen. The amount of hosts that work together to create this was amazing to be a part of, to witness, and to, to help co-create with and bring the physical design into form. And they said that there are so many levels and layers of this that haven't even been activated yet. It's been a little dormant and waiting for a particular time. And there's a lot there. Whatever is online about this is not even near the information that I have about it. So one of the things that I just got was when we touched the point, the capstone of this pyramid, it did something to the whole pyramid system on Earth. And it like he said, it pinged them. It did something. It gave them a message of the whole pyramid system, which is not just the Egyptian pyramids. It's many pyramids strung together or woven together in a grid system around the whole Earth. But I'm also seeing that coming up from every pyramid, there is a line of energy shooting straight up from every pyramid right now, connecting to a bigger grid that is, just kind of tuning into what that is doing. Okay, what they're saying is there's been a lot of diversity and separation, even away from Earth, amongst the different cultures, the extraterrestrial cultures and the higher dimensional cultures. And what this is doing, it is creating some kind of a fabric that is smoothing out, smoothing out differences, reconnecting separated races. It's very much like the flower of life in Koldos, how every circle that overlaps gives you a Vesica Pisces, an eye shape that is a shared space between, different universes or different dimensions. And what I'm seeing is this is doing something very similar. It's making an overlap where there's a shared space that can be accessed now that was not available before. And I always say, why? How could this come from Earth? He said, oh, well, the end is the beginning and the beginning is the end. And, it's who you are. It's who all of you are. And it was already known and destined that we would come together and do this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting. What are you feeling?
I feel the flow of life in my heart. It's kind of activating the whole body of me. So I like, but actually it's like, okay, because I asked myself, what is happening to me today? I'm so activated. So I have been activated all day, even though I am inactivated. But today I felt this strong. It's like, because the heart knows what it's going into. So it informed me this morning, and I didn't think about it because I'm doing a lot of practical things, but I just felt the body really has an activating. Okay, so I drinked a lot, and now it's like, yeah, so now I felt the flow of life really ripple through my heart.
Wow.
I mean, that flower of life, when I first read the book, and I got to the page where she'd drawn a picture of some huts with the image on there. I had to just put the book down because there was such an activation just seeing that design, a memory or a knowing or something that is so significant to me somehow. And and it's like, oh, this book, there's so much in it. And that's been the on switch for us in many ways. So we have come to this acceptance that we are these beings. We've created these things for ourselves to remember, which is fascinating as well, isn't it? Because it's almost we didn't even know that's what we were doing. All of these journeys we've been having, like you say, Saleena, I keep saying, there, that's it, that's me there. I am that person.
And
And
he does say, how can that be? How can I be Colin? And how can I be that one? And how can I be that one too? And how can I be that one? And it's like, oh, well, we just, you know, we're beginning to understand a little bit more about the omnidimensionality of the reality.
so what's
And
happened, I think what's just happening, like for us, and I've felt it happen a couple of times since, well, this month, really, I suppose. But it's this idea of all these aspects, all these different us's that have been looking at, oh, I think they're ready, kind of thing, and we've just suddenly aligned all of that, and I think that was partially what you've just described, Saleena, is in activating through that pyramid and that pyramid then amplifying it out. It seems to have been designed to bring all of those other aspects of, not just us, but all of these multitude of beings just together in an alignment in some way, so that there's almost like a common understanding, or there's something for everyone to align with, that helps this next, whatever's happening next.
we know back, uh, at one point, we were working with the shipbuilders. I just call them the shipbuilders, but it was an organization that Colin and I actually were part of in the beginning of bringing organic living ships into this creation. And we were contacted by a group that I just call the Shipbuilder Brothers. Really, they're growers. They grow ships, and they planted a seed in one of these pyramids in my home. And we watched it grow into a little organic ship. But basically what has happened is that we're finding out that there was so much division and separation planted by a certain group that went through it's a whole other story, but we're being freed from that right now. And there was one of the things that the Shipbuilder Brothers created was called the Councilarium. And it was a place where groups could go who had differences and couldn't communicate because of those differences, like a feud, or they wanted this and they wanted this and they weren't safe with each other. And this consolarium, you would enter it, and it was a living ship, an organism that was programmed to create safety around each person or each being or each group, so that they felt safe. And in that safety, they could then communicate and share and begin to get past their differences. And this is the reason I brought that up, is this is what this feels like on a whole new level. Like we just released a consolarium out into, the creation.
And yeah, and I can tell you another aspect of it, because I have had a lot of ceremony and so many things have come through me, and the future language, that all of us will have in common, because will have our nationality languages, but we will have a common, and it is hieroglyphs. And you have actually started to make the new language, because the new language is hieroglyphics, and it's vibrational, and it's color, and it's a song attached to all, and it's polarity. And you bring it up, it's like, wow, you are now showing the new universal language that we will use on Mother Earth, future humans. It's like, wow. Because I said, I cannot do, because we are invited into, and you have started it, and I thought, okay, I will attract someone that holds it, and you are the one.
We call it light language. And it is understandable, not with your logical mind, which drives people a little bit, it's like, I don't know if this is real because I don't understand what this means, but your whole body system understands what it means.
Yeah.
And over the years, as I've channeled in these light language, there's so much of it in the Vibrakeys and in all my transformational art, I've begun to trust that these things, and Colin actually takes his finger and, traces through, into them. And it does something to your body, mind, and spirit. And it's not always logically understandable.
No, because it's through the heart, and yeah, it's another dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, we brought in, there's been several times when groups have brought what they call the new memes. And it's like a packet of information, a holographic packet of information condensed down to one light language symbol, which releases a new possibilities into a system. And so, there's been times when they've brought in 22 of them or 23 of them. We've done it twice now, brought these new memes in. And you look at them, and if you trace them with your eyes or you meditate with them, they do things to your consciousness. They activate you. They're little mini activations, every single one of them. And so, that wasn't too long ago that we brought in, maybe a year or so ago, we brought in 23 new memes. And then there's also a whole set in one of the Vibrakeys, I think it's VK24, which are creativity symbols or glyphs or hieroglyphs. And they can be used by artists, by creatives, to whatever you're attracted to. So these are all just sitting dormant and so ready to serve that I am so open to how do we do this? How do we do this in a way, in the new energies, you cannot make yourself do what you don't want to do. You can't force yourself to do things that we can't use the old system. We can't use the old industrial systems way of making money, of surviving, of supporting ourselves, of hurting ourselves to manifest a living, to stay alive. That's all crumbling. And it's very disturbing to some and to, because we don't know, well, how will we take care of ourselves? How will we, have a home and transportation and food? And, what are we going to do if we can't use these old ways? And that's what we're bridging right now. We're bridging these questions of the old ways, wondering how we'll live, how we'll function if we do let go. And it takes a lot of courage to let go and trust. And I think about, I was raised 30 years in a Christian religious organization, but in the Bible, and supposedly what Jesus said was, you're like the lilies of the valley, and everything is provided for you. If we get out of our mental constructs and stop blocking the fact that the synchronicities that are happening that provide for us right now are just extraordinary. They're awesome. They're eye-opening. They're magical. To us, it's like magic, and it's so exciting. But it's also painful sometimes to let go, and it's scary, to let go of the old.
Yeah, because we want to have control, because we are, so the control, when you open your heart, you also have to let go of the control.
Right. And I did notice something. We were on another topic, but the image you have behind you, it is the way that I see when I see angels or I see dragons, who are our friends and had been demonized, and that's a whole nother topic. They're like energy wings, and I call them fire wings. And what's happening to you right now is your fire wings are totally being unfolded, and you're in for some real good big surprises coming up. So
yeah, they have told me. So I said, I have this. I have 3 months, as I told you before we go on the podcast, and after that, just hold on because your life will never be the same. So it's like, okay, what's that?
Is that, well, I'm glad to be a part of the story.
Yeah.
So, anything else? What are you seeing, Colin?
Well, when you touched on there, I was thinking that actually where we are now, and having just done that with the pyramid, why don't we allow the pyramid to extend into all of your work, so that we're this new fresh whatever this is that we're three of us bringing to
Yes,
this. Why don't we
yes,
just push that through the whole Vibrakey
yes.
concept?
And also the Divine reset. It feels like it's supposed to go to the Divine reset because that's also the same. Do the same as, yeah.
Oh, wrong finger. And
Yeah,
And,
and
and
Svester.
a
yours
little bit
too.
of self-promotion here as well. So why don't we just allow that ping that occurred? We'll go back in and we'll do it again. Oh, this is so can you feel it already?
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it.
It's so big, isn't it? I mean, really.
Well, the three of us are standing inside the Golden Pyramid. We are surrounded with a group of beings that is beyond counting and description. It involves every kind of being you can imagine, the kind of beings that we thought were imaginary, elementals, magical animals, beings, chimeras, angels, ETs, all kinds of races. And they're singing, they're
Yeah,
creating a
yeah,
vibration, a sound vibration.
I can feel it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's bring tears to your eyes, doesn't it? Very emotional.
there's so much love.
And so much light.
Yeah. So they're saying, open yourself to the very seed strings where your form comes into density and let them sing with us.
Songs are so important now. We have used song for so many years, but this we have to bring even more songs back.
I have received a, a, a lot of extraterrestrial songs that have never been published, never been shared, but I have sung them over and over again because they do change reality. So being very conscious of what kind of music you play, what kind of sounds that you're putting into the reality, that's forming. It's young, it's tender, it's forming, and we are the formers, we are the creators of it. So
Mhm.
it's being conscious of sound. And I've been noticing lately that I'm humming and toning and tuning a lot more.
Me too.
And the song that has been coming to me for days now is one that grandmother Chandra gave me. And it's something like ah, ma, mama, ma, 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 mama, ma, ma. Mama, Hmm. I've been feeling grandmother Chandra touching in to what's going on lately.
Yeah, and that way the mother energy is kind of holding us. It's like the creational, as a the womb, the mother nourishing, and it's like wow, the safety and all. Home, being home.
Yes. That, things will be coming to us about who we are that will blow our linear minds. And something came to me clear back in Sedona, and it took me a long time to let it in and to actually start believing that the possibility of it is true. And that is that I was sent as an emissary from the divine mothers, from the plenum, from the void. I call the void the plenum because that's where everything is available to bring into form. And they said, when you were sent here, we implanted all the memories and the thoughts and the feelings that you incarnated all the way through all kinds of lives and have lived all kinds of lives. But the truth is, this is your first incarnation here on earth, and you're here for us, the divine mothers, to help bring this transformation into play. And, Colin's saying things like that all the time, but this one took quite a while for me to accept the possibilities. And so I do have memories of past lives. I have memories of different beings that I am, including of mediating mediators, angelic mediators that have moved through every culture you can imagine out there in the cosmos. And that's why I understand light language, and I understand extraterrestrial languages and cultures.
Yeah.
And apparently they can do that. Just plant it in you and make you think that it's real. But
Yep.
anyway, the mothers are the core of my work.
Yep.
The divine mothers are the core of my work. And for Colin, he seems to be connected to the divine father and masculine energy, and we balance each other in that.
Yeah, and he had done the same with me, so that's why it's like we have activated each other big time. It's like whoa. And when you talk about, I feel resonate so much. Also, as I say, both Colin and me, we are time benders, and I am in future life and past life because I get the medicine beyond time. So it is, yes, we are activators, and we hold the opposite of what a lot of chaos is on Earth, and now someone has to hold the other polarity.
Well, back to the pyramid, and I hear everything you're saying, and I resonate with that, and I am part of that.
Yeah.
But back in the pyramid, there is a being that has stepped into the center where the three of us are. We're actually back to back. We're not facing each other. We're looking out at the circle, but we're in the center. And this being is walking around and touching us right there. And I saw them touch you first, Ann-Peggy. And he said, get ready. This is going to be a wild ride. And the being that did that feels like thought. There's many thoughts. It's a calling, but it's the particular thought that I know and I love. And he's the one that gave us the light body activation in Vibrakey number 20. And he's the one that gave us bliss breathing. I mean, you haven't been introduced to bliss breathing yet, but when he came in, he said, here's an easy way to activate your light body. You do this, you breathe in through your heart, you breathe in through your crown simultaneously, you breathe in the chi or the prana, the life force, into your pineal gland area, and it mixes it, and then you release it in your central channel. And he goes, that's it, just do that. And I started doing it, and it literally puts you in bliss in minutes. And once you get the hang of it, he said it's the natural way we breathe. And he also, in a year later or 2 years later, he appeared. He's a being of very little words with me. he just downloads whatever I need. And he said, oh, add this. He said, now, once you fill up the central channel with this special substance, and he said, consider the possibility that this is a very unique and special substance, and you can use it, send it, you can use it to help, any part of your body that needs it, directly send it out your hands to other people, use it in your healing. He said, but now take a figure 8, bring it over your head, cross it right in the pineal gland and down below your feet. And he said, right through that central channel, and it will spread it to every cell of your body. It will spread this special substance, he called it. And he said, there's so many complicated ways to activate your light body. This is the simple one. And he said, what it does is it helps you remember you already know how to use it.
Yeah.
So that's thought. And he's the one that's going, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, there are so many dimensions. So because when Heather worked through me, in the beginning I saw the Heather energy from the outside, and I was amazed by what all that she presented. And then it took over in my body, and like, wow, really experiencing, living it. So, and it will show me that was the old way and the new way. So the new way, it's not that we absorb it from the outside, but we become it. So we can become whatever we want to become.
Right. We can shape the energies that come in.
Yeah.
However, because we're creators.
Yeah, we are. We are God's sources.
Yeah.
We are the source. Just recently, Colin and I mean, we've traveled. One of the omnidimensional travel adventures that we've done is that there's beings we call the creator whales who swim in space, and they're part of the elemental kingdom that kind of manages the cosmos and creation. And they taught us how to go to the bubble. Everything is in orbs and bubbles in creation. It's always created within a bubble. So there's bubbles within bubbles within bubbles. The universe, the flower of life shows us those orbs. And so we went to the membrane. I mean, this is one thing that Colin and I do. We have these questions like, I wonder if we could go to the membrane of this creation. What would happen if we merged through it and entered creator mind? What would that be like? And we don't, we just say, what if we could do these things? And it's helped us to move past all the limitations that have been imposed on us.
Yeah.
To take away the most powerful creator beings that we are, and to stifle our gifts and our abilities. Because if we just think and create and intend, all this would disappear, all the negativity would disappear.
Yeah.
But it's a process that everybody's going through. And so we merged into we just put our backs to the creational bubbles membrane, and we merged into it and through it into creator mind. And once you're in creator mind, you can actually direct creator to look at a certain thing that you don't like the way it's going. And once creator observes it, it's almost instantaneous. Something different starts happening. Like, oh, I didn't realize that was happening. Let's change that.
Yep.
And then we also, when we're in creator mind, we connect our soul strand to this body, because this is the one we're playing with right now. And we say, align, balance, and harmonize all aspects of ourselves. Every aspect that has fractalized off this, from creator to this body. And then we don't have to spend so much time fixing everything in between. And there's so many of these shortcuts. Once you get it, it doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to be hard and arduous. It can be easy. I love what Colin always says. Why don't you say it, Colin? I love to hear you say it.
Yeah.
What if it's easy?
Oh, yeah. What if it is?
What if? Yeah. That's me. I've got this thing. I can't remember where it came from. Maybe it was a lazy streak. like somebody will tell me how to do something the complex way, and I'll just look for the shortest way of doing it, because there's inbuilt in me is that, yeah, but that's the hard way. Where's the easy way? And and that's what I've always done. And I can remember writing an article way back when I first started doing my magazine, and it was, why don't you just connect directly to, as in those days I was calling source God, so why don't you just, and I had a picture of, like the red phone that Batman uses to, that the no, the commissioner or whoever it was, he'd pick the phone up and straight through to Batman. Well, there's a phone that you could just pick up straight to God, just have a chat. And I that's the, it's like, why do you don't need all that stuff, or the, ceremony or whatever. You could just pick the phone up. And so that's always been my default, if you like, is that's very interesting, but why don't we do it like this? Why don't we just go straight there? And I've often
Right.
found that I'd be waiting at a destination. Some of our journeys, for example, with Saleena, which I know gets on her nerves because she likes to travel there. She likes the journey, and I'm waiting at the other end, going, "Oh well, if I'll just be here for a bit while they all turn up." Because whatever it is, I seem to have this capacity for just being. You have the thought, and then you're there. And I think some of what the mapping we're doing, I find that, like, having read like we read the book and we think architects. All I needed was that word, and I know where I am in that. I've found that part of me. Even it just took a word. So
It,
all the rest of the book was just confirming what I just felt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
it's like
It's like, yeah, yeah, okay, but I am that, and now I know where that part of me is. So I don't need a Stargate or a portal or whatever, because that part of me is just, it just came. Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes my breath away though. I mean, I have to say, because I just did it then. And it's like, so I just have to play my little what if it's easy there, because my body's just going, whoa, that was a big energy. But that's how it's playing now. I think that's how we're passing it on as well.
Yeah.
So this conversation, for example, and that beautiful song, and everything that's gone on in this conversation will in some way assist in someone else finding this place in themselves. That's the whole
all all of these pieces of art, our activations, the light language, these podcasts, all of these are like anchor points. And if you're ready, whatever part is ready for something new, when you touch them,
Yeah.
whether it's a light language or a Vibrакey or, one of your podcasts or, you know, listening to someone, then it's like an anchor point that helps you remember something that you forgot because of being in the densities.
Mm.
And so it's all about remembering, remembering, remembering.
Yep. Yeah, and the light language has helped me enormously 2024 and 2025, because I speak the light language every day, and it's so many things coming through the light language. It's like, wow. And it was like, you can sing the light language, because the light language is an activation. We are talking about activation. So it helps my activation to kind of expand, just talking light language every day. And my children and family say, what is the language? What are you saying? I say, don't bother. But just to be in it, it's like, yeah. So every morning I wake up with the light language, and something comes through the light language. So yeah, it's
Maybe there's one right now. I feel like there's a blessing or something to come through you. You want to do the let the next phase of light language through?
now.
No.
Oh wow, it's so high. I don't have voice for this. Oh, it is for feeling. I have no. Wow. I I have never been a singer, and they actually told me a couple of years ago you should practice more singing because I don't have this. Yeah, I just have this. Maybe it will come with activation. I don't know, but I couldn't go that high. It was extremely high.
We felt it. We felt it. Hawthorns do that. If you've ever listened to Tom Kenyon, oh
No, I
my
haven't, but
God.
Heather worked to me and it came so many songs and it was thousands of songs and they were lullabies for the new human. So it was the lullabies for future human that came through me.
Oh wow. Did you record those or just release them into the field?
Yes, I recorded it.
I'd like to hear. I have a special heart for the new children. I have a very special connection to the new children.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I
In
have
fact,
to kind of, yeah.
the one of the Vibrakeys, I'm trying to think of which one it is a grid, a learning grid that was given to me by the psychic children. And they taught me that you don't have to read something to get the information. They showed me how to put my hands on a book
Yep.
using the grid and absorb it and learn how to do that. And they also connected me up to their telepathic grid. And when they started activating my brain, I had headaches for months. And they said, sorry, it does, it will pass, but it was very amazing to begin to talk with them. And we actually did a psychic kids camp up in Mount Shasta. And
Ah,
the beautiful thing is more adults wanted to come than kids, but it was they all wanted to help. I'll volunteer to help, but it was fabulous, a fabulous experience. But now the autists, the kids are really expressing. And one of the things the autists said is they knew we were coming, they tried to poison us, but they can't stop us now.
no, we
And
have passed the tipping point.
that's right, right.
I think
I
today was
keep,
a tipping point too. I think what we've just done
Yeah.
was, um,
yeah,
was big.
I feel a song, if I can remember it. Oh, I haven't sung these songs in so long. This is one that Thoth gave. And it seals the past, present, and future together as one.
And actually, I think we should close with this song because we have spoken for a long time, a lot of activation. So it feels like you will sum up everything with this song.
Okay. Velina em hete amtuman hayuam. Velinem hete amtuman hayuam. Respect the past, embrace the now, intend and dream the future. Respect the past, intend the now. Embrace the now, intend and dream the future. Elinam etem domino you. Elinam etem domino you. All one again, all one again. Oh,
Thank you. Wow. If we can go beyond the words for this podcast because it's an activation, it's a vibrational activation. This episode became an activation for so many dimensions.
right, right. All I know is I love each one of you and every one of you that comes to that comes encounters us in this, and Wow, open your heart, open your cells, open your seed strings and receive.
Yeah.
And we love you. We love you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
And aloha till we meet again.
Till we meet again. Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. Join us next Sunday for another Heaven on Earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence, and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.